SnapLogic solves the problem of integration of back-end services that a typical company uses. The technical term that people use is integration platform as a service. So when you're a company, you have multiple software services that you use to run your business, right? Salesforce for running your sales team, and the information has to flow, and the processes have to flow between these systems, and that's what we do. We provide that glue that manages to integrate all of these things together. Without integrating your services, you can't run your business. In the previous generation of technology, there was one set of companies that did application integration, one set of companies that did data integration. The people who managed these things knew which company to call to the dance. Because the user is changing, you just needed one tool which did all of it. And that was the harder part of the build, actually building that engine that could do all of it and manage the document-centric flow of these newer applications. So he thought, okay, I need to build a new generation of software that actually did this for the cloud with an easy-to-use interface. That's how we are born. One of our earliest customers and large customers is Adobe. Around 2010 or so, they decided to completely shift to cloud. And to make that happen, they had to go through a lot of business process changes. They needed a new tool to actually do it. They were one of the first customers for us because they realized the value of what we built. They're grown to be a huge company now, and all of their business processes run on SnapLogic. It's easier, faster, and cheaper with us.
Talk us through a little bit about your relationship with MongoDB. How did it come about?
We did not want a relational database because there were technical challenges with relational databases. We looked at all the possible databases out there, and we found MongoDB to be the choice. Easier to manage, better capabilities. Mongo has grown with our needs, and we continue to use it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why the document model has suited you?
Okay, if you're building stuff from the ground up, the higher level applications actually deal with objects, and each of those objects has a bunch of fields, and they're all interconnected, and they have a lot of information in them. The traditional way to do it, if you were doing a relational model, is to put it in multiple tables. So when you go to save this object, there's a layer that works to break that object down into multiple tables and saves it in multiple tables. And then when you have to recreate the object, you actually have to read all those tables and then build that object in memory and then give it to your upper layer. If you had a document database, you did not need this marshalling and unmarshalling of data. Right? You could just serialize that entire object into a document and then save that document into a single table. And now reading and writing becomes so much easier. And it provides a lot of ease of use. And because there is no SQL involved and there's no strong database table typing, you can change the structure of the document without having to go through huge upgrade procedures. So that's why we thought a document model would work better for us.
From what I understand, you started with their sort of community platform, and now you've deepened the relationship moving into Atlas. Is that something that's currently happening now?
So cost was an important issue. Ease of management was an important thing for us. It was actually cheaper for us to move to Atlas and decommission those servers that we were running our community Mongo on. And the other part is, right now we are running in a single region, and we want to make it a multi-region shared instance so that we can provide much more disaster recovery capabilities for our customers. This is a hard enough problem to solve on our own, because if we had done it on our own, we'd have had to build some technology alongside, use some Mongo Sync technology and all that. But if it can be done underneath the covers, managed by somebody else, we should look at that. We can just focus on building the model and the data models and the access technology on top, rather than worrying about how to provision the servers, how to manage them, and how to make sure that multi-region cluster works.
Talk to me a little bit about the relationship between AWS and Mongo. How does that work together, or does it work together to serve you a benefit?
It does. Since the two companies work closely together, we don't run into worries about, well, are we going to create problems for one account team or the other? It'll still be hosted in AWS anyway. So both companies benefit, and we gain a lot through the partnership.